podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
All right, so the Anthony Elanga song has been doing the rounds in recent weeks. It's a catchy one, and I think it's going to be sung with gusto after this one. He saved our bacon.
He did, and what a goal as well. The composure to do something like that on a big European night. You're fresh from the bench. You're thrust into a game where composure has not been a byword for Manchester United at all, and then you show that. In that moment, just incredible.
Great for him. I was just chatting with the old crew on WhatsApp during the game, and we're like, do we think Elanga's good or not? Because I'm not sure yet. I don't know what his ceiling is, but he just has this knack of scoring important goals, and he missed one at the weekend and then scored one. Or was that in the previous game?
No, it was
at the weekend. Yeah. And then tonight he's had that one chance and just put it away. It wasn't the cleanest strike, but he's gone right across the keeper, did everything. The run was perfect. Took it early. Yeah. It did everything right there. And if who knows how good he'll be, but if he keeps scoring important goals like that.
I'm with you on this. I don't know. And I don't want to say it. I'm so glad that you did, because when you say it about someone with such a bright light in such a difficult time, you don't want to be too pessimistic about it. And one thing that I'd never want to be pessimistic about is the young players coming through.
Right.
It's a little bit like Rashford. When Rashford broke through, and I know a lot of people, again, they might come at me for saying this, but when Rashford broke through, he got into the side very opportunistic with other injuries upon injuries. He wasn't making an obvious case for himself in the reserves and youth team. I don't think that he was destined to break through in an immediate sense. So when he came through and he broke through and he got his opportunity, then great, he seized it and he never looked back after that. And he took to the stage very well as well. He was scoring the goals in the big games and things like that. Elanga's a little bit like that, but probably even less refined than what Rashford is. What we can see from Elanga is that he's got perseverance, he's got effort, and he does have resilience. That's got to be the right word. Yeah. So he can miss that chance and then he can still come back in.
And that might have ruined a bunch of young... I mean, he missed penalty, of course.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but even forgetting that from his little personal narrative that he's building. But also the Leeds thing, obviously, in the Fred celebration, he'd been hurt by the coins.
Yes.
To show the composure to score at the end, and obviously he was showing off a little bit, but as you would, and as you would want him to, he did that. And then to come into that situation tonight... Yeah, I'm with you, Ed. I really don't know. And I don't want to sound pessimistic about it, but he has got a lot of qualities. And obviously what he adds to the front line is a little bit... You saw when Rashford struggled again.
Yeah.
And Rashford's a little bit more refined in his play. You know what he can do with the ball and everything like that. He's still not entirely sure with Elanga what he can do. Sometimes he looks a little bit awkward. Sometimes you don't want him with the ball at his feet running at someone. You want him in that space.
I think with a young player, you're looking for something that's special. What's the thing that's going to get him in the team? And with Rashford, it was his explosive pace. And we knew that from the reserves at the time. And with Mason Greenwood, it was his outstanding finishing on both feet. With Elanga, I do like that he just seems very intelligent around the final third of the pitch. He knows how to get into half spaces. He knows how to make runs. He's not explosively quick, but he's all right. He's not a brilliant dribbler, but he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Finishing, we'll see. But the composure seems to be right up there. To come back from the things that have, the miss against Leeds, the miss against Middlesbrough, the penalty, being hit in the head with a coin, all of that, and to come back and then to make an immediate impact tonight. Anyway, you mentioned Rashford. He was dreadful again. I'm never going to get on his back because he's one of our own, and I love him, and I love everything he's done outside the game. I feel desperately sorry that he had the shoulder and the foot and the back injuries, but he is in a awful place at the moment, form-wise. He's about as useful as a fart in a hurricane. It's just absolutely nothing happening for him. And I don't know how to put my finger on why that is.
We talked a few weeks ago, and I think we talked after the Wolves game, and I said, his confidence looks on the floor. Obviously, the part of that was because he was moved at right wing back and asked to do something he couldn't do, and then he hit this awkward pass that went nowhere near Fernandes. I think it was making the run through, and the pass was on for him to make it. If he was in good mood and confident form, then you would have expected him to have made that pass. And then he scored a couple of goals, and you're thinking, all right, we're going to see a little bit of the old Marcus. And then it's just gone back the same way.
Yeah.
Now, I've returned back to what I said at the start of this, again, not wanting to be too pessimistic, but I wonder if that's where he is. That's it. That's who Marcus is as a player. He's coming to the side. He did well for a period of time. Definitely. If we're going to look at the mean, we'll look at where he is, and obviously scored a lot of goals for United. I think he's close on 100 at least.
Yeah,
He's got to be around 100. Played many times. He's certainly proved his worth to play the level that he's played at. And then he's dropping off, and it's no disgrace if he does that. It's no shame if he does that. We've seen how many players. Lee Martin scored a winner in an FA Cup final. Mark Robbins saved Fergie's job.
Sometimes they don't quite get to where you want. Yeah,
exactly.
I just you feel like the ceiling with Rashford's really high, though. His tools, the skills that he's got, his pace, his ability to finish. He's not as good a finisher as Mason Greenwood, for example, but he is a good finisher. The fact that he's done it at a really high level, and he was being looked at by some of Europe's biggest clubs before he signed his previous contract. You feel like the ceiling's really high, but it's not happening. Anyway, got distracted a little bit there, but there was a game on tonight. What do you think about the lineup? Because I looked at that and I was like, Jesus Christ, Lindelof at right back. Did you see that one coming?
I didn't, honestly. Thought, obviously, when he named the team, I'm thinking that he can't be at right back. There's got to be some kind of switch that we're going to see at the start of play. He didn't. This is the danger, I think, when you get a new manager in and it's a bit of a clean slate, especially someone who's fresh to everything that he's seeing, someone who's not been around the league and not been around the team. He's coming in with a fresh pair of eyes and saying, I'm going to evaluate this squad as I see them. Because he tries things that we've seen tried before, and we've seen Lindelof tried at right back, and we know that it doesn't work. So he's trying it thinking, oh, this will be something new. He's obviously tried him, as far as I can assess. He's tried him because he played so well at the weekend, which I might say that was his best game for the club. I think he was brilliant, not just with the pre-assist but generally his composure in that kind of atmosphere was very good. He was so good.
It was, and his Baresi run forward was the pre-assist, as you say. It was amazing. And maybe that's the logic. I didn't see any of the pre-match interviews with Rangnick or anything like that, so I didn't catch any of the thinking. Maybe there'll be some quotes after the game as to why he did that. But it just struck me that although Lindelof in that first half made a couple of tackles and a couple of blocks that was really important, it just seemed to unbalance the team. Atletico immediately attacked down that side.
There was one moment early in the second half or it might have been late in the first, where he covered basically when we would have been 2-0 down. Oh, it was late in the first half he did that. There was a gap on the right. I think Lindelof had been quite central. Sometimes you see that with defenders as well. When things are happening, when they're at a stretch, they go to muscle memory. So Lindelof was pulling into the middle, and there's obviously a big space on the right-hand side. And Sancho came and filled it in, thank God, because otherwise we would have probably been 2-0 down. Yeah, Lindelof, it was difficult for him. You're not going to blame him for that, because obviously he was put in a difficult position. He did make that good block, and I don't think he was the worst of the defenders, by the way. Varane had a bit of a stinker. But you're in this position, aren't you, where because he played well at the weekend and he didn't want to drop him. It's the other. I thought Wan-Bissaka played really well at the weekend. I don't know why you wouldn't play him again in this game, because obviously you're going to need someone to defend. You've got a left-sided attacker who you're going to need to keep an eye on. Yeah.
And Lodi, I wonder whether it was a little bit of that. Lindelof played well at the weekend. maybe doesn't fully trust Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's not had a lot of football, and he doesn't trust Dalot's defensive capability, and there's probably not many people who trust Dalot's defensive capability, although he's been okay in the last 10 weeks or so. So maybe it was that. Anyway, it just felt like it destabilised United a little bit, even if Lindelof's personal performance wasn't that bad. But there were 10 other players in the United team, probably 7 of whose personal performance in that first half was truly in the toilet.
No, was it 50 surrendered possessions or something like that? And it was a mistake a minute. They lost possession every single minute, which is frankly ridiculous for a team who were competing in a Champions League knockout round. It was terrible, and you can tell how terrible the performance was by the fact that Rangnick, a manager who, to all intents and purposes, you can see is very considered, very deliberate with what he does. He made all 5 changes, and they were all obvious changes to try and improve the team. So he's changed off the team. He's that disappointed with the performance. We've come on this straight after the final whistle. We'll not know what he said about it. I'd be very surprised if he's praising that performance.
I'm sure he won't. He may be too straight a talker for some in that respect. But he's very honest. If you didn't watch the game with your eyes and you just took the stats, United had something like 65% possession in that game. But it was all just useless possession. It was just like playing back 4. And Atletico had United exactly where they wanted. So as soon as United opened up, they broke. And really effectively.
What a goal. What a goal, by the way. Their goal.
Oh, just loaded with the ball in, and João Felix with the diving head. I love watching João Felix. He's such a graceful, intelligent, high-quality player who's had a hard time. 18-year-old kid cost 100-odd million, whatever it was. But, yeah, that was just the smarts to know that he wasn't going to get there unless he dived for it. And I don't know about you, I love a diving header. I just rather it wasn't against United.
Yeah, but in the moment, you appreciate it. It was funny because you've just said that. I appreciated that. Probably like it hurt. You're like, oh, we've conceded again. But 30 seconds after, I'm like, do you know what? That was bloody brilliant. And it's the same way, probably, but I had more instant recognition for the Batistuta goal against us when he was playing for Fiorentina, the one that flew everywhere and went in right down the middle. Because that was the first goal I ever applauded as like from an opponent team, thinking, my God, that was something special. I'm not saying that this was because obviously it wasn't in the same category, but the intelligence of João Felix to do what he did, it was pretty instantaneous. I was like, oh, I'm disappointed we've conceded, but wow, you've got to give it to the cross as well, by the way. The cross was great, but the header, when you see it, and flummoxed De Gea was by it as well, a keeper on the top of his game again. You've got to admire it. Our defence seemed to be stunning.
Yeah. And they'd had chances before that kind of opened up United, and then they continued to keep creating chances, and it was the same pattern of play. United would try and push forward, would waste possession through some really aggressive pressing, and I'm guessing that's the kind of intensity that Rangnick wants, but hasn't quite managed to get the players to buy into yet. And it was just it was set up well for Atletico, who had not been in a good situation this season, who have been leaking goals, which is not a Simeone thing, who haven't been scoring many, who are 5th in La Liga, and they beat Osasuna at the weekend, but Osasuna aren't in great shape either, and just United just seemed to play into their hands. I guess he got better after half time. I mean, obviously we scored. That helps.
The attitude,
but it's the same. It's the same kind of pattern, wasn't it?
It was. I thought after the break, though, we did see an improvement. I don't know if it was just in intent or a little bit more urgency or whatever it was, but we're a lot more proactive. We looked a lot better, and I'm saying a lot better by the standards that we showed in the first half, and still not particularly good, but to the extent that you saw that they weren't at their best. And that if we had something about ourselves, like maybe the 4 or 5 changes that it took eventually to do it, that there was something in that game for us. And I don't know, it's a very difficult one for the manager because you're looking at the players. I think it was a brave one to take Pogba off, although he's a bit of an easy target to do that. I don't think he would have been brave enough to take Fernandes or Ronaldo off, even though they were just as bad as Pogba. Do you know what I mean? I think there are easy targets in that team. And to be fair, it worked. We got the result. And in days gone by, we would say that's a classic European smash and grab. And I think I said those words to you just before we started recording. But that's very much tongue-in-cheek because it's not the way that United are used to playing. We know that we got out of jail with that one, even though we shouldn't have. You've mentioned all the things there. It's not a great version of this Atletico Madrid team. They are not as defensively resolute as they used to be. They're not as attacking. They're not as brilliant attacking-wise as they used to be. They were missing one of their best midfielders. So we had all these. Well, they're missing 4 or 5 of the key players. So we had all these elements in our team in our favour to sort of go out there and not necessarily boss the game because we're not in a position to do that. But you mentioned it earlier, 65% of the ball. You knew before the game, and it's exactly the same before the Brighton game as well. You know what you're going to get from the opponent. They were happy to let us have the ball because they know we're not going to do much with it. That pitch looked very big tonight when we had the ball. We weren't doing anything with it. Very big.
It did, and they targeted a few players. They let Pogba have it, and then they pressed him.
Yeah.
And actually, Pogba's quite press resistant, but he didn't have many options tonight. Technically, he's very strong, obviously, and he can hold, and he's physically strong. And normally in tight spaces, he's able to take that ball in a tight space and most of the time get out of it. And there's been some famous occasions when he doesn't. But tonight, the passing lanes were closed off and he couldn't find a way out. And he got caught in possession. There were a few wayward passes, quite a lot of wayward passes from Bruno, and a static player up front in Ronaldo, so not giving United an option. And obviously no Cavani, so no option to play him instead and find spaces in the channels. And it just felt like then the only outballs for United were to Sancho and Rashford just ran down blind alleys and Sancho couldn't get enough of the ball. And it felt like Atletico did a number on United, saw how we were going to play, worked us out, and we fell into the trap.
But, we got...
And so got away with it, basically.
Yeah, it's a result... And I forgot for a moment that the away goals aren't in effect anymore. So really, it's a neutral tie now, and we're not in a bad position if they score 1 or 2, which they could easily do at Old Trafford. Do you know what? It's a level tie to take back, and it could have been worse. It would have been a lot more difficult. I think they could have been very resolute at Old Trafford because they're so organised. They look very organised, and I think if they'd gone there to Old Trafford with a goal to protect, it would have made it a very difficult game. So we were quite fortunate. But again, at the same time, Ed, do you know what? I've been so glass half empty about this team that I do want to try and be positive with some stuff. So we did get that goal, and we did get, we made all the changes had an effect, just as they did at the weekend, by the way.
They did.
So he's making the changes. They had an effect. And we got the result. And really, we ended the game in the ascendant. So you've got to look at it from that point of view and say, all right, well, we improved. He made mistakes at the start. Even the best have done that in the past. He did that, and he rectified them, and we ended up getting a decent result in the end because...
Yeah, and I think you're right to he's become more proactive over the weeks that he's been United manager. More aggressive with the changes, not just changing systems and tactics and trying to get something out. And he got something out of the game with substitutes at the weekend and did again tonight. So, hey, you got to say he's spotting it. He's worked it out. He probably made a mistake with the system and then he changed it and United got something out of it. And hey, I think if it'd been the other way around, you would feel like, classic Atletico. Didn't play very well and got a result.
Yeah.
So...
There we are.
Yeah, I think we can be positive about that, even if the performance wasn't awesome. Hey, at the weekend we were great. So it's not 2 steps forward, half a step back.
Yeah. But I would say just 2 steps forward, stay standing still for a little bit, because an away draw in the knockout stages of the Champions League, we've been here before and he's not reflected well on us. But in this position, it looks all right. It could have been worse, and we've got something to smile about because Elanga did what Elanga did, and that's a positive thing. And the more that he's doing that, just as he did at the weekend, you think, right, we're actually building something now. He's moving forward. There's a theme developing. There's a pattern there. And, I definitely feel more optimistic than I was 3 months ago, for sure.
And it's taken a long time to get there. A couple of quotes from Rangnick, which I think are interesting, just pulling them out as we speak. We were far too apprehensive on the ball. We didn't take any risks. We weren't very vertical, which, of course, he wants. We just passed it around our own half. And part of that, I think, is the Atletico system. Goal came from a deep run from Elanga. Elanga plays with joy, and I wish some of the other players would look at him as an example. Football is important, but at the end of the day, it's still a ball game, and it should be enjoyed by our players. That's kind of pointy, that is, isn't it? As
a little bit. Yeah.
Look at the kid who came in and showed you all up.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one that'll be a quote that sticks for this season, won't it? I think he's got a point, because the first half, again, he's got to take some accountability for that himself, the manager, because of the system. But it did look too big a pitch. Honestly, I was a little bit. I wasn't sure, and I know a lot of people say this sometimes. Oh, he's such and such playing. I wasn't sure that Sancho was on the pitch until they said that he was switching sides. I didn't. My mind had gone blank. Who were we playing on the left-hand side here? Because I didn't know if we were playing a different shape or something. And then they said, "Oh, Sancho's switching sides." I'm like, "Oh my God, Sancho is playing." So he mustn't have touched the ball at all in that first 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and I think it was a big pitch. I think that they made the most of it. They segregated the sides. We talked in the past about. I think the last time I was on, we talked about how the best thing about what Rangnick has done so far is to complete a unit as a team, and it looks like a team tonight because of the way that Atletico played. First and foremost, that they managed to separate it. So they isolated the defence and they isolated the midfield, and the attack isolated itself in the end because they were cut adrift. And nobody of those compartments were willing to go back and take personal accountability and say, "All right, well, we know what's happening here. We need to address it ourselves." They waited for the manager to do it, which is a little bit concerning by itself. And it is a
lot of arm flapping.
Oh yeah, you get that from 5 or 6 of these United players, unfortunately. I think it's a good point that he makes. As much as he's going to be one of those that's definitely going to be in the headlines everywhere. Yeah, obviously, because the thing that Elanga brings is the application and the desire. And well, you said earlier that he gets himself into these positions is because nobody else is in that position. So he's had to move to get himself there. If you understand what I know, it seems like a very simple thing, but he could be stagnant and he could just stay in one position, but he's moving around. He's making it because the area's there to be exploited, and he's doing it and he's making the movement. That's how we got the goal. And it is simple, and it shouldn't be that simple at the highest level, but it is because that's what he showed. That and again against Leeds, he did exactly the same thing twice. Once it resulted in a goal again. So he's there. Johnny on the spot, right man, right time, and if that's the example that they're going to need, is just move for your colleagues, actually do something to show that you're not just selfish about your own position in the team. You're not just thinking, as long as I just stand here, if I get the ball, a little bit like Pogba in certain respects. That I think the problem with Pogba tonight was that if he was just doing his job, and he pretty much did. And like you said, he was getting muscled out in certain areas, but he was also getting outnumbered, so 2 or 3 players on him, so you couldn't really blame him for that. But that's too much of a problem with our players, because they say, "Oh, what could I do in that situation?" But you can't say that every single time. You can't say that for all 11 players every single game. But our players seem to do that.
No, that's right. Personal responsibility, and too often that's not very high with this group of players.
No, it's not.
Anyway,
Elanga did very well.
He
did. And he showed accountability, and he showed that willingness to put himself in that position. Do you know what I mean? He took the risk himself.
Good for him.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm a big Elanga fan.
He
tonight.
did, and good for him. We don't know how good he's going to be, but we're big fans. Anyway. There was a big United following. We should mention them. They made a lot of noise, as they did at Ellen Road at the weekend. Yeah. I've not been to Wanda Metropolitano, and I'd love to go one day. I've been to the old Atletico ground. Very ancient. Looked like it'd been bombed in World War II and never repaired. But it was right in the centre of town, very close to their fans. This is different. It's out of town. It's a big change for the club, but fantastic atmosphere for the whole game. And United fans made a lot of noise at the end.
Let me say this as well. I had a couple of friends who were there. I think a lot of us have a few friends who were there tonight. And one of my mates sent me a video of the police in the stands who were being the Spanish police are. So it didn't look very good. I hope that's just like an isolated incident.
They always take too heavy-handed approach.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just every time I go to Spain, fans get beaten up.
It didn't look very good. It wasn't a very nice video, to be honest. And yeah, just hope that everyone's all right from that, because it did not look very pleasant.
The thing is, I've been to quite a lot of Spanish football over the years, and that's not how it's policed until English fans, quote unquote, hooligans come into town, and then the attitude changes somewhat.
Yeah.
So it's a pattern for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you like the show, the way you can support us best is by leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And it really doesn't matter what you say in that review either. You can say you'd rather we talked about Manchester City and Liverpool. Just hit those 5 stars. Many thanks. Okay, shall we move on and have a quick chat about Watford at the weekend? Do you remember anything about the last time United played Watford? Anything special happened with that one?
No, I remember one lad called Dennis seemed to have a good afternoon. And then he disappeared, never to be seen again, until last weekend when he's conveniently popped up again. And suddenly, his flavour of the month, Roy Hodgson with his knack for the great escape, is back on the scene right at the time when we don't need him to be. Ed, and I'm sure you're going to tell me that all these factors are not relevant this weekend, but somehow I think that they are.
Oh, God, yeah. It shouldn't be, should they? But Atleti were in dreadful form until they finally found a result at the weekend, just in time. And now we'll see Watford. They're still a bad team. This is a team United should dispatch easily.
Yeah, they should.
They got spanked by Crystal Palace tonight, by the way.
Right, okay. Well, that makes me feel a little bit better. It's just when you've been to Old Trafford so many times, and is this hyperbole to say this is the worst Old Trafford Premier League season? Is it the worst Old Trafford season ever? I don't know. It's very, very bad in terms of performances.
Mind you, lost 6 games at Old Trafford last season, I think it is.
I'm talking about level of
performance.
What you are actually watching, and how bad those performances are in terms of the defeats that you're seeing as well, because it's been, apart even Leeds, it was good. Newcastle, he was okay, but it was the Ronaldo mania thing that were taking over. But everything apart from that has not been very good. Again, look, we beat Leeds. It's a decent result tonight. And then you would think, because Watford have lost, then they can take care of Watford as comfortably as they should have done first time round.
Yeah.
And we're not in anywhere near the same kind of peril where last time, if you were a betting man and you had £1, someone gave you a single £1, he said, who's this £1 going on? You would have been tempted to put it on Watford because of the way that United were in such disarray. We're in nowhere near that disarray this time round.
No, and I don't expect that kind of performance, at least not defensively. Watford are not in great form, despite the result of the weekend they got. And I think United will pile on the pressure. I presume make a few changes, because this will have been two intense games in a row.
He did say before. He said before Leeds that he wasn't intending to make changes from the Brighton game, and obviously there hasn't been too many tonight. He's basically a team to win the game, so I think probably you'll see. I think
we'll see. There's a few old boys. Ben Foster working him back. Craig Cathcart, who didn't really play. Did he ever play a full game for United? Can't remember. He was in the youth ranks.
I don't think so.
Tom Cleverley, we remember him. The next great thing, TC23, as he branded himself. And Josh King, who never became a United player, but Ollie was desperate to try and get him into the team. So, a few connections.
And I think he scored loads of goals since. He scored the goal against, when he was at Bournemouth, the one where he flicked it over the defender's heads in the 6-yard box, which is pound for pound, possibly the worst. And we, by the way, a lot of contenders for this. Pound for pound, possibly the worst goal we've ever conceded in the Premier League. That was pretty. Go back and watch it if anyone is listening to this and thinking, we've conceded a lot of bad goals. Go back and watch that one. He's flicking the ball over the head of, I don't know which one it was, but it was a defender in the 6-yard box, turns around and spins and finishes it in. That can't happen in a Premier League game. It can't happen, and it did. So he's got to be there, but he's got an knack of doing it. I do like him. He's likeable. He's a likeable lad as well. And he's got a love for United. It's just that he seems to love scoring against us as well. Yeah. Now we're talking about this. Man United 0, Watford 1, King 88 on Saturday. Why are we doing this to ourselves?
I'm okay with you saying that because it's the double jinx, right? We're going to win 6-0. No problem. Yeah.
Yes. There we go.
All righty. Thought we'd do a quick reaction pod. It wasn't perfect tonight against Atletico, but United got away with one. Good for Anthony Elanga. He's got a great song. I hope he has a career that's known for more than just having a fantastic song.
Is it Andy who did that? Andy Mitten? Andy came up with a song?
No, it's one of his friends.
Oh, I was going to say, and he needs to get the royalties for that because that is picking up that song. That is,
it really is
very, very good. And when you hear it, it's so mank as well. The way that is, it's unmistakably mank.
The intonation really comes through. Yeah,
I love it so much.
Awesome stuff. All right, good to chat. Everybody will see you at the weekend. And, well, we got away 1-1 tonight, but hey, big win coming up at the weekend. Enjoy it.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.